get a lot of credit, is Steve Blackman from Muscular Development. I mean, those guys have done an extraordinary job for years and years and years to promote health, to promote fitness, to promote strength, to promote bodybuilding, powerlifting, weightlifting, and all of those kind of things. So the contributions they made is gigantic, and I hail them for that.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Ask Ron. Questions today are questions I've been getting at the Arnold Classic and since the Arnold Classic. A lot of the same questions. Of course, the big question is, I've gotten probably 100 times, what did you think of the show? So I know I did the play-by-play at the show. I did wrap-ups and everything, but I was with a group there. It was always myself and a couple other people. I got my own opinion in there a little bit, but I wanted to let them talk. And I've also had a couple of days now to process everything and really think about the results and all that. So here's what I thought. Let me start off with Classic. Huge lineup, 31 guys. Did all 31 of them really deserve to be up there? No, I mean the quality level, about half of them were really Arnold Classic quality, about half of them, no. But whatever, doesn't matter. Top three guys I was very impressed with. This third place guy, Courage Opara. Fantastic muscle bellies, great shape, just that round, bubbly look to the muscles. The only knocks on him, I would say, a little bit narrow in the clavicles, and the condition was way off. That being said, for this guy to take third out of 31, and with the condition he was in, tells you just how good he is. So what he just needs to do, in my opinion, is get that condition going. If he can get detail and striations and those type of things, he's going to be really dangerous. I could see him winning shows for sure. Maybe he's already won a couple. I'm sorry if I'm inaccurate about that, but definitely pushing the top guys at the Olympia. Second place, Arash Robar. Very impressed with Arash, and I haven't been as impressed with him in the past. I always thought he looked a little flat. This time he wasn't flat. He was big. He was full. Condition was excellent. So he was so good that he actually did push Breon for the win. It was very close. You could tell by the comparisons. Judges were really kind of unsure because they were two very different looks. Arash had a much thicker, fuller look, bigger, which I know Classic's not supposed to be about that, but he also has really good shape. Where did Breon ended up beating him? Breon's got better arms. Breon has way better back detail, even though Arash has better back thickness. Legs, Breon's legs are a little better, especially his hamstrings. They're just dug out. They look like steel cables. It's crazy, especially when you see it up close. So that being said, I think the judges made the right call. Nobody really seemed to complain. There were some people, obviously a lot of people were in support of Arash, and they wanted Arash to win. And, I don't think too many people would have been horribly upset had he not won, or had he won. But the judges made the right call on that. So 212 was the next division. There was only 7 guys. It was a small show, and frankly, I don't know if they're going to continue having the 212 class if that trend continues at the Arnold Classic, where they're not getting enough competitors. And I don't know why. It's a really big show. It's a nice title. I don't know why more guys didn't apply for it. So 5th place went to my good friend Jose Raymond. Jose looked really good. His best? No, he wasn't at his best. A little bit of a film. People get confused because they see the pictures with the veins and everything, and that's very impressive. That it looks really cool, but what you want to see is crisp, clear separation. With a physique like Jose's, he's got all the mass in the world. Not the most pleasing shape in some poses. So for him, it's like a branch one. He needs to be 100% on, and he wasn't 100%. Could he have done a little better? Yeah, a place or two maybe, but he wasn't in the run for the win. Unfortunately, I felt bad because I wanted Jose to win. I really did. Obviously. 4th place, David Henry. From the front, David was just perfect. Shredded, details everywhere, gnarly, split striations, all that good stuff that we're come to expect from Dave Henry. It was all there. When he turned around, glutes and hams were soft. Now, I know it shouldn't be a glute and ham show, but it kind of is. That was enough to knock him off and down to 4th. Third place. So this is where it gets tricky. The top three, and I said this in a few comments, is, you know, people talk about these shows are all politics and you got to pay your dues and everything. Not at all. These the top three guys prove that, because third place, Samir Trudy, still pretty much a rookie. He's from Sweden. Not a lot of publicity. A lot of American fans don't even know who he is yet. I think they do now. Beautiful shape on this young guy. Just, you know, flowing muscles, everything tied in, round shapes, small waist, quads are just phenomenal. You know, teardrops, nice thickness there, tremendous sweep to the thighs, little waist, just the perfect shape. Similar to Courage Opara, Samir was not in the greatest condition. He could have been a lot sharper. But it tells you how good he was, that he was still able to beat men as good as Dave Henry and Jose Raymond, who are both excellent bodybuilders, excellent. You know, Dave Henry was the first Olympia champion of the 202. Jose has won the Arnold Classic. So Samir is someone you're going to watch, because he's going nowhere but up, this kid. He's really, really good. Just condition. Just needs muscle maturity, condition, keep doing what he's doing. He's much better condition this season already from that one show than he was the past couple times I've seen him. I believe I saw him last spring. It was New York, Toronto, maybe both. And yeah, I was impressed by the shape and everything. I said, this kid's got to get in shape. He's on his way. He's getting there. Second place, Charles Dixon. Charles, you know, the tank, obviously thick as hell. Condition was on point, striated everywhere, glutes, hams, back. Everything was, you know, probably the best Charles Dixon I've ever seen. And that's saying a lot. I mean, Charles is pretty consistent showing up at these things in top condition. He did it again. I don't think it would have been, too many people would have complained if he had won. He was, you know, he had that total package. Does have kind of a short torso, you know, kind of like a Kai Green. But what are you going to do about that? And the winner. I had no idea who this guy was. When I saw the list of competitors, I just assumed, well, somebody's got to take last place. There's a good name for last place, because no one knows who he is. He can't be that good, or else I would have heard of him, right? No. So his name is Kamal El Gardni. Giles has known this guy for 20 years, and he was telling me, this guy's really good. Watch him. Half of me was like, okay, I can't wait. And half of me was like, yeah, whatever, you know. Sometimes people are favored, show a little bit of bias toward their friends and so on. But Kamal was really excellent. Shape, condition, structure, you know, wasn't quite as massive as someone like a Dixon or a Jose, but, you know, condition was on point. He's an amazing poser. It was his first pro show since, I think he had dabbled in a Night of Champions back in 2003 or something, Giles was saying. But he's been with other organizations. He's retained his amateur status for many, many years. So he's 46 years old. He's got 4 kids. You know, didn't know the guy, but once he got up there and he won, and he was talking to Arnold, he started crying. It was very emotional. You had to be happy for the guy. He seems like a really good guy, and I wish him the best. And, you know, we'll see how he does later on in the season at the Olympia with people like Flex Lewis and the rest of the crew. It's going to be a little tougher show, but we'll see. He should hold his own. Open. Okay, so the Open. 5th and 6th, I thought could have flip-flopped. Lionel Bayeki was 6th. Steve Kukla was 5th. Best Kukla I've ever seen, no doubt. And Boston Lloyd made a comment on Facebook saying he doesn't think Kukla was improved since he turned pro with the USA. It's like 2010 or 2011. I totally disagree with that. Kukla has definitely improved. He's brought up things like his chest and his back quite a bit. And he's put on, you know, I think he's like 20 pounds heavier. And condition was perfect. Shredded glutes, hams, lower back, all that. So he's definitely improved. Good shape to him, too. Very classic. Now, that being said, Lionel Bayeki, that's God-given shape. This guy is amazing. I mean, in perfect condition, I could see Lionel pushing Phil Heath hard for the Olympia. Hard. He's that good. He's not missing anything. No weak body parts. Perfect structure, perfect shape, round, bubbly muscles, just like Phil has. And from the front, wow, stunning. Then he turned around, and once again, with him, you know, as soon as he turns around, if it's not there. And I've never seen this guy. I know he's pretty much nailed it a couple times out of all the times he's competed, but I haven't been there to see that. So I've seen Lionel always a little bit off in that area. The glutes and the hams, they're soft. There was just not a lot no detail going on at all. They were soft. Should it matter? that's something we can debate forever. Should it really always come down to glutes and hams? I don't know, but it seems like it does. So that was your fifth and sixth place, which I thought could have flip-flopped and nobody really would have been too upset about it. Who was fourth place? So the winner was fourth place. I'll get back to that in a second. Third place, fourth place. So Cedric McMillan was third. Jeez. Oh, I'm sorry. Rolly Winkler was fourth. Sorry, guys. Trash truck is outside. It's distracting me. Fourth place, Rolly Winkler. Enormous. Biggest Rolly I've ever seen. He's pushing 270, and I don't think he's even 5'8". I think he's about 5'7". But wow, tremendous mass, but the detail is just not there. I'm going to have to say he looked better years ago when he won New York Pro, because he just had so much more separation and detail going on and everything. That's so critical. It really is. This isn't just about size. If it was, Big Romney would have been Mr. Olympia for the past 5 or 6 years. But he's not. So, Rolly definitely has all the size he's ever going to need. He does not need to be any bigger. He just needs to work on bringing back that crisp condition and the clean separation between the muscle groups. Especially if I saw more of that in the quads, like I've said about him a few times. I mean, it's odd because his glutes were striated and everything. You would think he'd have that detail everywhere, but it just wasn't there. He had kind of like a puffy look. Giles described the muscle looking kind of like spongy, and I agree with that. That's pretty accurate. But man, impressive as hell. Huge. Just staying there in the lineup, he's just enormous. And a couple shots, like his most muscular. It's just jaw-dropping. You've never seen so much muscle mass. Maybe, I think someone was saying Dennis James is probably the only other one that was so freaky in that shot. I'd add Marcus Rule to that list, too. They were all amazing in that shot. Just so much muscle, it's hard to comprehend that you're looking at an actual human being. All right, so third place, Cedric McMillan. I thought Cedric looked as good, if not a little better than he did a year ago when he won the Arnold Classic. But that was a different lineup. It was not as strong of a lineup, so it wasn't good enough this time. But, very impressive showing for Cedric. He's an amazing poser. I'm a big fan of Cedric's. He's got everything, wide shoulders, not missing any body parts, tiny waist, very graceful poser, great stage presence now. A few years back, the knock on him was that he wasn't really confident enough on stage. He's definitely got that swag now where he's won the Arnold Classic. He's won some shows. He knows he's one of the best. And you can see that confidence in him now, whereas a few years ago, you really didn't see it. But Cedric, very impressive. But third was right for him. 1 and 2, William Bonac and Dexter Jackson. This was the first time I'd seen Bonac up close. I was at the Olympia, but I was sitting further back, and I was really watching the show from the big Jumbotron screens. This time I got a really good look. I was literally in the front row, looking up at him like, 10 feet away. Wow. Very, very impressive for the fact that so much round, bubbly muscle mass, great shape, structure. It could be a little wider in the clavicles. What are you going to do about that? But it's not like he has narrow clavicles. Where did he beat Dexter? Dexter looked really good. Absolutely. Dexter always looks great. I think we're kind of used to it, where we take it for granted that Dexter's always going to look phenomenal. He's amazing. If I could knock anything on Dexter, or the reason why I feel Bonac beat him, condition-wise, they were probably about equal. So for me, it came down to Bonac's legs they're just better than Dexter's. They're fuller. They have better sweep. I know a lot of that's genetic. It's not like Dexter's losing muscle mass from his legs. His legs are really good, but Bonac's are better. Condition-wise, Bonac was in a little sharper condition at the judging, faded a little bit for the finals, whereas Dexter, as usual, did the opposite. It's hard to tell with him because he's always in shape, but he was a little sharper for the night show. He did have a habit of relaxing his midsection a few times, and he doesn't have a huge gut, but anybody who relaxes their midsection at any point, it's gonna protrude a little bit. They were close. They were very close. Judges brought them out by themselves a couple times just to compare those two. So that's always a sign that these two guys are very close. But happy for Bonac because I think it was the right call. I had him winning. Most people had him winning. Had Dexter won, I wouldn't have really complained either. He's very good. He's got a hell of a physique. But it just had to go to one person can win. In this case, it was Bonac. Another question I got a few times over the weekend. So what do you like better now, classic or open bodybuilding? Yeah, I grew up on open bodybuilding. That's why I go to the shows. That's what I get excited about. But that being said, I appreciate, and I'm becoming a fan of classic as well. And I don't think you have to choose one or the other. If we're fans, you can like any division you want, appreciate them. I like the fact that classic has that emphasis on proportion, shape, structure, presentation, condition. I like that because in the open, sometimes you see presentation is not something that guys pay a lot of attention to. You can see it in their posing routines. Some of them, it looks like they're making their routines up on the spot. They would just repeat the same few poses over and over. A classic, you'll see these guys, on the whole, put more effort into their routines and try to put a nice show on for the crowd. And also the condition, like I said, the classic guys, classic physique has to make a weight limit for their height. And it's actually very difficult for most of these guys to get down to that. So when they get there, they're going to be in spectacular condition. Open, they're not weighing these guys in, and they want to be as big and full as possible. You know, they obviously want to be in shape too, but it's a balancing act. And a lot of times they come in looking bigger and fuller, but a little bit softer, especially in certain areas. So I can appreciate both of them. I'm a fan of all types of physiques that are exceptional. You know, I can appreciate a Frank Zane and a Marcus Rule. I think any true fan can. You can have your preference, but you can also be fans of all these guys. They all work hard. They all look great in their own way. Apples, oranges, pears. They're all different. They're all different types of physiques, different structures, different shapes. So you don't have to choose. You can like them all. Next thing is, people were asking me various times, do you think so and so got robbed? Well, let me go back and mention Dennis Wolf because I want to congratulate Dennis. Dennis was in excellent condition, coming back from over two and a half years off the stage. Had a horrible spinal injury that required surgery in his neck. I know he couldn't train for a long time. So for him to come back looking as good as he did, wow. You know, upper body wasn't as big as it was in the past. Legs actually didn't look too far off. It's his upper body training his upper body needs a little more time. And I hope he's able to bring back that size and fullness to the upper body that he used to have because his condition was on point. Legs looked really good. Just needs to fill out that upper body a little bit more. I'd be curious to know what he weighed because he was about 270 at his best. If I had to guess, I'd say he was maybe like 255, but I don't know. Maybe somebody out there knows. Leave it in the comment section. Okay, so-and-so, do you feel like so-and-so got robbed? You can insert just about any name that didn't win. And something that's always kind of frustrating me because I see when athletes post up their pictures of the show and say, you know, they didn't win, inevitably, a lot of their followers, fans, friends, family, they'll say things to the effect of, you got robbed, you got screwed, it's politics, judges don't know what they're looking at, they're blind, these judges are morons. You know, unfortunately, it's most of these people commenting that are blind in the sense that they don't have a sense of how physique competitions are judged. There's a lot of fans, and if they're a fan of a certain guy, they'll overlook any flaws that he might have, like maybe he doesn't have any back thickness, doesn't have any hamstrings, arms are weak, something. They'll overlook all the weaknesses, and you know, even if the guy's not in shape, or if he's in shape but he's too small. I mean, they'll overlook anything because that's their guy. They love that guy. So I get it that they think if their guy, who they feel is the best bodybuilder alive, didn't win, then something's wrong. Some injustice has been carried out by the judges. And I got to say, the judges, for the most part, they do get it right. I didn't disagree with too many things I saw over the weekend at all. I think they did a great job. It's a thankless job because typically only the winner and the fans of the winner are the ones that are completely satisfied. Most everyone else is really upset that their guy, the person that they love and they support, they're a fan of, didn't win. But unfortunately, there can only be one winner. You have to have places 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have to put the places down the line. And sometimes I do think, sure, when you're getting down to places 4, 5, 6, 7, they could flip-flop 1, maybe 2 spots, and it wouldn't make a huge impact. I know it matters to these guys, obviously, because the paycheck's different and it's a higher placing. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think they get the winners wrong too many times. So when these people are outraged and they're upset and they're crying politics and these judges suck and this and that, it's a lot of ignorance. It's a lot of people that are uneducated. Either that or they're very biased. And I get that. So it's understandable. They're going to want their guy to do well, and when he doesn't do well, they're looking to point the finger of blame, and they're not going to blame their guy. If their guy came in out of shape, like I said, they'll overlook anything that caused them to actually be judged lower, and they'll focus on the strong points. This guy, he had the best calves up there. He was in the greatest condition, or he had the best arms. He had the best shape. It's a total package that they're judging, guys. They're looking at everything. They're looking at, even, and the Arnold Classic judges posing too. If you're a crappy, lazy poser, that's going to count against you. So, I get it, why they're upset and why they make these posts that are, offensive to the judges or putting the judges down. But please, people, understand that the judging is hard. You couldn't judge. Most of you couldn't judge one of these shows. I would never want to do it. You're sitting up there looking at like the Open Arnold Classic. It's 12 or 15 of the best guys in the world. In this case, we were only missing Heath, Rami, and Roden. Everyone else, all the other top Olympia guys were in the show pretty much, most of them. So it's very hard. They look great. They all look great. I would have a rough time, very rough time, judging. I could do it, but I'd feel bad because I wouldn't feel like I was always making the right calls. Last thing I want to talk about is over the weekend it was announced Flex Magazine will no longer be publishing a Flex Magazine. It's going to be consolidated and become part of Muscle and Fitness Magazine, which it bums me out. It really does. I know they were our main competitor in the magazine world, but I never had any issues with anybody at Flex. Peter McGuff was the editor there for years. I love Peter. He's one of my favorite people in the entire industry. Love Peter. And I thought the magazine, in the years when Peter was editor and Chris Lund was their chief photographer, oh my God, it was about as close to perfect as a bodybuilding magazine could be. I used to eagerly await every issue, read it front to back a couple times. I thought it was just so well done. It was such a, the perfect magazine for the hardcore bodybuilder and the hardcore bodybuilding fan. It was amazing. I loved Flex Magazine. And to see it gone, now we're the only bodybuilding magazine left. I know there are a couple smaller titles out there, but they're not, I'm sorry, for the purpose of this discussion, they're not relevant when you're talking about names like Flex, Muscular Development, Muscle Mag International, Ironman. So those are all gone, and we're the last one in print, which, it was kind of inevitable. And I don't know if there's always going to be a print version of Muscular Development. The world is changing. Everything's going online. Everything's on your phone, your tablet, your computer. There will come a day, I think, when it's all going to be online. And that's, it's progress, it's technology. It's just, we move forward as a society and a culture. And it's kind of sad because I'm old school. I'm 48 years old. I still love to read books, holding a book in my hand. I've tried reading it on a Kindle or on a computer or whatever. Oh, I can't stand it. And same with magazines. I like to hold a magazine, turn the pages, and look at the pictures. I don't like doing that on a phone or even a computer. I get start getting a headache after a while. But I'm glad Flex is still going to be around in some form. Competition is always good. And like I said, I have never had issues with people from Flex Magazine. Great people. It's sad to see them go. That's going to wrap it up for this one. I just wanted to give you guys my little take on the Arnold Classic, the way I saw it, with a little more time to reflect on it and think about how it all went down. So thanks for watching. Next time I'll actually solicit some questions, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.